For more updates, click on subscribe and click on bell button for latest notifications.
Now we are going to install the NagVis, and this to install the NagVis, these are the dependent packages we have to install. So all the PHP related packages. So it has some error in it, so then correct the package name. So then you can see that the dependent packages has been installed successfully. Now let's download the package, the NagVis package from the NagVis location. So now that is downloaded, extract that package using the tar command. So now it's extracted, and let's get into the folder. Let's clear the screen and see. So the package has been extracted. So there is an installation script within this directory. You can just run that install.sh, and do you want to proceed, say yes. Then you can select the path. So by default I'm just hitting enter because I don't want to change any paths over here. I'm using the default configuration. So I can see that all the dependent PHP modules has been found. So now hit enter. So the username is Apache, then yes. So then you want to continue, yes. So that's it. So NagVis has been installed successfully. Then let's do this. So go to the browser and try to access NagVis. Oh, oops, it does not access. Maybe I have to restart the Nagios and the HTTPD services in order to it is actually changed the web configuration. So that's why we have to restart the HTTPD to reflect the changes. Now go back to the browser and refresh. So yeah, it's working. Just try to log into the console. By default username and password is admin. Then you can log in. That's it. So NagVis console is up and running, but we have to integrate this NagVis with the Nagios. So in order to integrate with NagVis with Nagios, then we have to have some mediator or the broker modules. So in this case, I'm going to use the Endivo utilities as a broker module, so that it will fetch the Nagios status data and store into the MariaDB. Then we can fetch the same data from the NagVis. So for this, I'm just install the MariaDB packages, and I'm going to start this MariaDB services here, and let's see that. So start and enable on the startup of the MariaDB, and now you can just run the MySQL secure installation, so that for the first time setup of the database. So first time there is no password, just hit enter and say you want to set the root password, yes. Then set the root password. Then anonymous users would be removed, yes, and remote login should be allowed. I say no. Then remove the test databases, yes, and reload the privileges tables, yes, so that the MariaDB database is MariaDB is installed and set up with the password. So let's try to log in to the MariaDB database. Okay, so it is connection successful. Now we have to create the user and the database on the MariaDB instance, so that we can have the database ready for the Endivo utilities. So create the database I call it as a Nagios, and I'm going to create the privileges for the, so I just create the user called Endivo utilities and with the password, and I'm going to provide the permissions to that particular user. So now let's grant all the permissions to particular database and flush the privileges, so that it will reload the privileges and quit from the instance. So that's it. So database has been created, and it has the required permissions for that particular user. So now we can just log into the MariaDB instance and see that is the database is created. You can see that there is a Nagios database has been created. So add some kernel parameter here. So it will while connecting the database, and having some kernel parameters is mandatory for this, so that it performs well. So what I'm doing is that I'm deleting whatever the lines exist with this MSG and MSG Max and SHM Max and SSM all. So these are the lines I just deleted from the sysctl conf file, and I'm just going to insert the new values on that sysctl /ctc/sysctl configuration file. So I'm just going to compile this sysctl -p -a-p, so that you can see that the kernel parameter has been inserted onto the sysctl configuration. So that's required for our MariaDB to perform well, so while data is pushed to the database. So now let's go ahead and copy the NDO utilities package path and download it to the temp directory wget, and just paste this URL here, and the package will be downloaded to your machine. You can see that NDO is downloaded successfully. Then extract this tar-xvf and provide the NDO utilities package, and enter into that folder name. Then just run the configuration here. So you have to configure the NDO utility. So this is a compiler, so it's a source code, so you have to just compile it in order to install it. So /configure makes the configuration, and make all, so it will make the packages. Then you can install the packages. So now install make install, enter, and make install config for the configuration files, and make install init for the daemon to be installed. So now go back to the DB directory under the NDO utilities and load this database files, the SQL files, to the actual MySQL table. So it will create some tables, required table structure on the database. So if you run this, you have to provide the username and password for that particular user we just created, and the instance to the database path. So the database is loaded successfully. Now change the config files. If you go to the /usr local nagios etc, so there are sample files. You can see NDO to DB configuration file, and you just move to the original files. So now let's replace the username and password on that files. You can see that my username is NDO utilities and password is password. So I just changed that connection strings on the NDO to db.cfg file. So now enable this NDO to DB service and start this NDO to DB service to collect the data from the Nagios status. Let's verify that status, whether the service is running fine or not. Yes, it is running fine. So now let's verify the, so now we have to create the broker module on the Nagios to push the data. So edit the nagios.cfg file and go all the way down and add this broker configuration line here. You can see that This is the line you have to add. So this is a broker module configuration file which will actually push the status data and restart the Nagios service. So in order to take effect. That's it. So now the integration is completed. So maybe you can see the status data into the NagVis. Let's verify that is the data is successful. Okay, yes, the NDOIS initialization successful. Now let's see some query here using the MySQL, and let's see is there any data really on the database side. Okay, so the database is fetching perfectly. All right, it's successfully configured.
That's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Please subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos and courses. If you want to join the WhatsApp group, the link is given below on the description. Click on the link and join the WhatsApp group for connecting with more technical people.